Oh, One Ring. What am I talking about? God, George.
Orcish Bowmasters.
How does George troll us even when he's not here?
It's Schrodinger's George, based on.
Whoa! Welcome back, everyone, to May the Zoo Be With You.
Are you recording?
We're recording. I'm not warning you at all.
The little red thing isn't on the screen right now.
That's not my fault. Your screen's bad. Welcome back to me. I'm recording. I see the
Do you
button.
do this to me every week where I say horrible things that should never be repeated and you actually record them?
Welcome back to May the Zoo Be With You, everyone. My name is Louie, and I'm joined by the #1 Sorcery beta box opener on the planet, Josh from Hometown TCG. Josh, you sound terrible. I'm trying to save the audience from hearing you.
That is one of the most disingenuous introductions that's ever happened on this podcast, and George isn't even here, so that's impressive. That's awesome.
We had a deal. I would pump your beta box openings, and you would pump what? What are you going to pump on the podcast this week?
What else is there to pump? The amazing spin down die that we found at gamergrove.gg.
Gamegrove.gg. Oh, you guys are the worst. You're the worst.
That actually wasn't intentional. Okay, I'm sick. Give me a break. What are we talking about this week?
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. We're so glad you're here. We are chatting about Lost Caverns of Exelon and how many different things. I'm titling this one, Exelon is Weird. Oh, we should say George may join us at any time. Right below me, right here. He may join us. He may not. We're not worried about it. We're going to talk about Lost Caverns of Exelon being a weird set. Lots of stuff going on with it. TCG player doing pretty well on it. We're going to talk about Magic Standard. Is it dead? My store is actually Kickstarter. I didn't even tell you this, Josh. Our store is kickstarting Standard on the 30th. We're going to start playing Standard. And then this article came out by Sam Black that a lot of people in the Magic community have been chatting about. So we'll give you our thoughts on Standard. We're going to talk about the Sorcery beta release and all the things going on in the Sorcery community. And then we're going to talk about the Lorana release and the new information coming down the pipeline from the head honchos over at Lorana.
Shrink wrap boxes, dude. Let's go. We're a real card game now.
It's amazing. It's
a real card game.
Somebody should have told him to do it. It's crazy.
No, you've been watching my content.
All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about Exelon. How are you feeling about Exelon? I know you watch the market a lot. I know you've been sick. I know you're whatever, but how are you feeling about Exelon as a whole in a Magic the Gathering set? I
have been really pleasantly surprised by not only Exelon, but the last two standard releases. When we started this transition into the Magic the Gathering world, and I was covering the Magic the Gathering market and all the sales, standard sets it was a rough place to be, dude. Back in Dominaria United, at times Streets of New Capenna, standard releases were a rough place. And the last two sets, just from as a guy who sits in his basement and opens Magic product for him, the set box for the last two sets has felt incredible.
Yeah.
There's been small changes they've made to this product that's felt great. The one critique I still have that seems more relevant now than ever is the number of variants you're getting in these products. And I think you feel the same way. So before I pass to you, I want to talk. I did a reaction video to watching Wizards of the Coast box opening for the Exelon collector box.
Yeah.
And shout out my guy Blake, much better time this time, had an actual setup, looked at the cards. It was incredible. Had like 15 piles.
Yeah.
In the collector pack opening. And it was absurd. It was crazy.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a lot, I think, in this segment. But I want to hit on what you said about the set boxes, because we sold completely out of set boxes on release night, on pre-release night. And it's been hard for me to even get more. I think I got 4 or 5 boxes this week from Distro. I was calling my Distro begging this week.
Jeez.
Well, which is good, because maybe then people will be forced to buy collector boxes, of which just came out on, we got them on Wednesday. So I think that the set boxes are so popular, not just because of what they put in them, but because of the price point. And I know we talk about on the podcast a lot that collector boxes seem to be what people open or more massively open. But I think that's changing. I think that that price point and the way that the wallet fatigue is hitting Magic players and the economy and all that stuff, I think that price point of $125 is a really a really good price point for a Magic the Gathering product and set. And I almost wonder if that goes, we're going to get into this play booster box thing, and like, are we going to miss that price point, or is the price point, like you're saying, you've said a couple times on the podcast, is it just going to sit at 125 and it's going to affect stores negatively? But I don't know.
I mean, we've proven time after time, if we won't pay more for Magic product, you store owners are going to be left holding the bag. You can hold the product or you can sell it at a loss, but we as a community, will find a place to buy it cheap. Shout out Wizard of the Coast and Amazon.
Yeah,
like, we'll find a place.
My box open today, a lot of people were saying that the collector boxes, this is going to be a Amazon Black Friday sale.
This one?
That I would be so surprised if that happens. At that point, it's like, what's the point of having a store? Like, if they're going to Black Friday sale, the set,
the most recent set, yeah.
I think I'm out at that point.
I don't think you'd be out. But because the reason I'm trying to protect you is because I'm not completely unconvinced that they won't do it. I think it's a possibility, and I don't want you to tie yourself to that.
I don't know, man. It seems crazy. But on TCG Play, these boxes are holding up pretty well. 225. That seems better than what Wilds was doing. I don't know if you're tracking the data or not, but
you know I am, baby. The set box is outselling the collector by like 2 to 1.
Is that normal or not normal?
It normally outsells the collector box because of the affordability and the price point, but you do, in my opinion, see more people buying the collector box because it's the only place you can get this super cool stuff. And I want to touch on this. The big change in the last 2 sets is you can get almost everything you can get in the collector box in the set booster box, with the exception being those Jurassic Park emblem cards, which
I didn't even know existed until today.
Oh, they exist, baby. And I did this earlier this week, and I'm going to do it again, and I'll take the roasting in the comments section on this channel just like I did on mine. Wizard of the Coast is getting it right now. And it's ironic because they're about to completely shift away from this model. But like, you have a product that's at a price point that we like, where you can get almost everything. And then you got the baller product. And you can only get very certain things in the baller product. And those certain things are actually extremely rare and valuable.
Yeah.
That's what we've always asked for. And they're doing it. They're like, right now, they're doing it.
They can keep doing it. I know you just said that they're going to change it. Like, they could still do that with play boosters.
They can, but anytime they shift anything, I get nervous.
You guys keep talking you and George both talk about play boosters as a change from set boxes, and I see play boosters as a change from draft boxes. That's the difference with the way that we see it.
Well, it's a change from set boxes in the sense that it's going to be more expensive, right? We just talked about one of the most attractive things about this booster is the $120 price point.
Right. You're
not there anymore. You're going to be upwards 140, 150.
Right. But you also get more packs. So it kind of balances out. I agree with what you're saying, but it does kind of balance out. But from a perspective of what you can open, I don't personally think they have to change much in the play booster. I think they've already kind of adapted that. These things are crazy though. These what are they called? The
emblem cards?
The emblem cards. They're sweet looking. One of the things that like in 2020, 2021, I really felt was like Wizards was way behind on making cool flashy cards. I would look at like Pokemon cards and I'd be like, why can't Magic have something that's like actually cool looking and not just like borderless? And we saw other card games too doing different things, and now we're seeing them really push the edge, I think, of what they like. This has like a cracked ice hollow that you saw in some other games before, mixed with like a textured foil. It's just cool. There's a lot going on. I think that's cool.
It's their card design has gotten crazy. Even I was opening a set booster and I'm trying to find it. They had the art cards, and some of the art cards are like how outrageous is this right here? Like, how crazy is this? Like, yeah. I am more than ever being wowed by like how some of these cards look, and that hadn't always been the case for Magic. So good point.
Yeah, and like what I like about this one, and honestly what I like about the entire Jurassic Park theme of this set is that it fits in the world of Magic the Gathering. Like, we already had dinosaurs, so if you want to bring Jurassic Park in, like, that's fine with me. Like, it feels like it fits.
But you didn't have sexy shirtless Jeff Goldblum, and now you do.
I pulled that today in the box opening.
Did you?
Yeah.
The chaotician?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how you say that word or not, but I'm rolling with it, baby.
Roll with it. Don't just go with it. So I don't know. I kind of like that they're doing this stuff. These are selling pretty heavy too. They're like the shattered glass foils we're selling from Brothers War. So we'll see if they hold up.
You mean the best set?
Not anymore. That thing's
the best
tanked
ever. Oh, I know. I have the data. It's not pretty.
That stuff's crazy to me. How far those boxes have come down, even with serialized cards.
Well, it doesn't help that they went on Amazon special twice. Like, that definitely doesn't help the value of the box.
That's so wild. Like, this is not a result of reprinting, because
nope,
you've got serialized cards. They're down to 165 on TCG Player. It's not a result of lack of cool things. You've got the artifacts.
It's not a result of lack of interest in the community, because the sell-through rate is extremely good on that product.
Yeah. It's just, in my opinion, it's too many products coming out at the same time. Like release. Like, they gotta slow it down, but they won't.
Oh, no, not a chance.
Back to Lost Caverns. I really like this product. I want to be very clear. Like,
it sounds like you're about to say something negative.
I am. I love the theme of it. Like, I love all the things that are going on.
Who doesn't love big dinosaurs, dude?
You've got dinosaurs. You've got vampires. You've got what else? Merfolk. Like, you've got a lot of really cool themes from Magic the Gathering that people love, and I think that's one of the reasons it's selling so well. Commander decks have been flying off my shelf. What I don't like about this, though, is that there's so many different things within one thing that I don't think that they did a very good job of advertising it. Not because they're bad advertisers, but because there's just too much in the product for Wizards, like, PR team and advertising team to explain. It's the Lord of the Rings problem. There's not enough time in the day to look at Magic the Gathering product and understand what is inside of this box.
Yeah.
And so the consumer has no clue. Like, I own a store. Maybe I'm just bad at my job. Maybe that's what it is. I own a store, have a YouTube channel about Magic the Gathering, and I didn't know that these things existed. These I still don't know what they're called. Emblem cards. I didn't know those existed until today, when I happened to see one for sale on the Facebook group, and I thought it was a proxy, and then it wasn't. Like, maybe I'm just bad at my job, and I'm fine with that. Comment section, let me know if you hate the YouTube channel. Like, I can go probably get a job if you guys want me to. Like,
we are hiring.
Yeah, are you? No, maybe I'm just bad at my job, but I think the real reality is that, like, there's just so much that it's impossible to know. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Am I just bad at my job? Please encourage me. I graduated therapy. I need it.
This is a rough spot. Because, like, every fiber of my being wants to jump on the "you're bad at your job" train. But I literally said in that same box opening video, when I was like, oh, that comes in this box. That's cool. And I paused the video and looked at the camera and said, I make 7 Magic videos a week. I should know this. Maybe it's a sign they're putting out too much product. Maybe it's a sign that I'm a bad content creator. I said that sentence. Right. And so now that you've said this, I can't jump on you too hard, because I agree. Like,
there you go. I mean, you've got 3 sets within this, and I think Wilds of Eldraine had 3 sets, maybe?
Yep.
So you've got, and I was looking at TCG Player, and even TCG Player can't handle it. Like, if you click Lost Cavern of Exelon, you can't see the most expensive cards in this set. So if you're a consumer and you're like, hey, I'm
opening a collector box. Yeah. What's the most expensive card I can get?
Yeah, you can't go to TCG Player and hit Lost Caverns of Exelon and see it. The most expensive card that you can see is a $27 reprint of Cavern of Souls, and you're like, oh, why would I spend $225 at GameGrove.gg on this booster box if I can only get a $27 card in here? But then you have to find the universes beyond, and we've been trained to find universes beyond now. So like maybe we know that, and you click universes beyond Jurassic World collection. You're like, oh, okay, there's cards in there, and you see the emblem card that sold for $300. You see the other cool stuff. That's awesome. But now, additionally, you have to go and find the special guest slot.
Special guest slot.
And there you have the mana crypt that's borderless and all that stuff.
Can I tell you, that's your TCG player argument is one of my biggest problems with these sets. Is you can't just go sort by most ordered or best match, which shows you the highest selling cards, the ones that sell the biggest sell through rate and stuff like that based on their price. You can't just do that because you have to aggregate that information across the 4 different subsets and the 3 foil versions of those subsets. It's very annoying.
Yeah, and like I get it. I know every day it comes across. I'm just a Magic the Gathering boomer, but this is coming not from Boomer Magic. I actually like everything in this set. I think the mana crypts look really cool. I love that there's different. Dope. I love that
they're rare.
Yeah, I love that they're doing parallel foils on stuff and like having different levels of collectability. We talked about this with the Hidetsuga card. Is that how you pronounce it? Hidetsugu. Speaking of sets that are completely tanking, looking at you, Kamigawa, and my massive Kamigawa bags. But looking at that card's held up really well for a parallel card, and nobody cares about it. It's a nothing burger of a card. And here we have Mana Crypt in here. Like, oh, that's crazy. I love it. I love that. I told you guys I love the Jurassic Park stuff. Like, I think that's really cool and it fits in the flavor. This is a consumer issue, and I think they're going to have a hard time at teaching the consumer and creating the tools for the consumer to understand what's in their products. And that's not good when you have as many products coming out as they do.
And you hope that with, you always hope that things in Magic improve. And to Wizards of the Coast credit, they constantly are trying new things, and some work better than others. But the Play Booster has already been advertised as like, okay, the core set.
Yeah.
Then the special guests. And also the 40 cards curated from the list. So you've already got 3 subsets already in the next product. And if they ever decide, we're also going to sneak a commander subset in here somewhere. Now you're at 4, and you're right back where you... Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I forgot about commander. Is there a Lost Caverns of Exelon commander set that I didn't pop up?
Yes.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's crazy. It's insane. So maybe TCG player needs a link that's like you click on the booster box and it pops up. TCG player, listen to us. You can be a sponsor. You are a sponsor of my channel. Use my TCG player affiliate link in the comment in the description of the videos. But they need like a button that you click on the booster box and it foils out to like all the different foils out is a terrible term, but it moves away. It
pulls in everything that you can open in that box.
Yeah. I needed to work on my elevator pitch before we got here, but I don't have an elevator. So
listen, the position we have open isn't sales, luckily for you.
So I don't know. I think that's something they need to solve. But other than that,
the number of variants is, and we're solving a lot of problems. Remember, we were constantly complaining about the Wizard of the Coast reprinting everything. It seems like the reprint thing isn't as much of a problem anymore. So it's like they are solving problems. It's just we still got some to go. We still got some work to do.
Let's not go there because we do have Return to Ravnica or Ravnica Legion. What is it? Ravnica Remastered. One of the billion times we've gone back to Ravnica. And like I said in a video the other day, I was like, what are they going to put in here? And somebody's reply was, well, they're not going to put any. They're going to do Shocklands, and there's not really any Planeswalkers that they're going to put in. But what they'll put in there is Smothering Tithe, Doubling Season, and Cyclonic Rift, Louis. Of course, those are 3 great cards that they can put in there. And my response was, all 3 of those cards have been reprinted 3 times this year in Wilds of Eldraine and Commander, or 2 times, Wilds of Eldraine and Commander Masters. Like, I don't know. Like, if those 3 cards are in Ravnica Remastered,
how would they not be?
Dude,
how can you do a revisit to Ravnica without including those cards?
Listen, Ravnica Remastered is going to tank hard if that's their sales pitch, because like what you're about to have, you know what will be on Black Friday sales, maybe not from Amazon but from just about every LGS, is Commander Masters. Like distro still got it, they're basically dumping it and on all their sales. Like I don't know, dude.
Let me hit you with a truth bomb, my guy. Let me help your business here a second.
God, we are so sick. You and I
We are
so sick.
We are. And you know what? We're here for you, even while we're sick.
We can't miss
so
a
click
week.
that subscribe button.
What are we? Lame? What are we, losers?
What are we, George?
We're not going to miss a podcast.
What are we, George? Like, we have better things to do with our lives?
I was being more subtle with the George roast, but
what? No.
Great point.
No. Ravnica Remastered is going to tank. We've seen what happens when they try to have a set that's only driven by fancy shocklands that are hard to pull.
Yeah. Listen, Unfinity did well for like 3 days.
Here's the thing. Ravnica Remastered, I bet, is going to be an amazing limited play experience.
Oh, we're going to draft.
It's going to be so much fun.
But that's all I'm going to buy it for. Like, I'm not going to anticipate people are going to buy those for booster boxes or collector boxes. Like,
I can't imagine so.
Like, I don't know what the lowest number of boxes I can order without like completely pissing off my reps are, but that's what I will be targeting. What I can order.
Well, the next set is Murders at Karlov Manor with the play booster that's going to go like hotcakes. So maybe you don't.
Think that's going to go like hotcakes?
Yeah.
Just because it's the first play booster and
it's brand new. People are going to want to know. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going like hotcakes. This is the best direction the company's ever taken. It's new. We're going to want to know.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a good, valid point. Anyway.
That's all I make, bud.
Yeah, I don't know. Exelon. We'll see. We'll see how it holds up. But
the set's selling really well. It's just so many things.
Yeah. Limited play with is pretty cool too. I had a lot of people reach out. They want to. We had kind of like stopped doing our league, so we do this like league thing where you get 4 packs and you build your deck, and then every week you can buy a booster pack to add to your deck, and then every 3 losses you can also buy a pack to add to your deck. And you can only play each person in the league once per week. And so we have like a league sheet that you write your opponents or whatever. And then the winner at the end of the league wins I think a box or a bundle from the next set, whatever it is. And it's just a way to like continue to play limited in the store. Sure. Whenever. It's great. It gets people in the store or whatever. But Wilds, like nobody wanted to play. Like everyone was just like, this is boring. We're not playing. But this one, a couple people were like, hey, we really liked pre-release. Let's play more, league. So we'll get that going.
You should just, have a weekly draft.
We do a weekly draft, but it's not always. It gets boring when you draft the same set every week. I like to mix it up. This week we're doing Battle Bond. No, this week is we're doing Lost Caverns. Next week we're doing a Battle Bond draft, and then the week after we're doing. My store really likes Forgotten Realms for some reason, so we're taking the Battle Bond mantra of like drafting with a partner, and we're doing it with Adventures in the Forgotten Realm. Which would be kind of cool. So
you're doing it with Adventures in the Forgotten Realm?
Yeah. They love it. They love the set. It's like I have one guy at the store that's like all he wants. Shout out to Malachi. It's all he wants is Adventures in the Forgotten Realm.
Tell him to call me.
You got bags.
If you have the one consumer, share them.
All right, let's get into this Magic standard debate. So Sam,
what's the debate?
What do you mean?
What's the debate? I think everyone's on the same side of the debate.
Listen, this got a lot of traction. This and have you been following the Magic the Gathering iceberg videos that have been going out or iceberg posts?
I've seen a lot of them pop up. I haven't watched them yet.
Don't worry, I'm working on mine. I got to jump in the bandwagon. I got to make up for my terrible videos this week that got 0 views.
That's all I make, dude. That's all I make.
There's like a bunch of iceberg videos that are going on, and then this thing got a ton of traction for like this guy, Sam Black. He's like a pretty popular Magic player. People know him. I knew of him, but just because of another thing that happened when he was roasting indie TCGs, it was like it was like the pandemic, and he was like the only person who I heard say that indie TCGs were all going to die after the pandemic. should have probably listened to him a little bit earlier. But
Mm.
yeah. Anyway, he came out with this thing that says standard no longer makes sense, and his whole argument is essentially like, you've already lost all of your standard players. Wizards already sells product to Commander, and that's their business model. Like, right, like that is what
Sure.
sells 90%. Like, standard no longer makes sense. It's not valid of a format anymore, and they should just not do it. Now, I should preface this whole conversation with, my store is starting standard on the 30th. Like, we are pushing into it because Wizards is pushing into it. Like, they're saying any store championship has to be standard.
Right.
So what am I supposed to do with all my store championship promos? Like, it has to be standard. I can't even run limited. I can't even run like what I want to do for my store championship. And frankly, like, Wizards should just be like, hey, do whatever you want for your store championship. It is your store championship. Like, it literally says store.
We had this conversation on the podcast about RCQs and stuff.
Yeah. I would love to do Pauper, but they're saying you have to do standard, and you can't do it. So
that's a fun conversation. What's a less legitimate format, Pauper or standard?
Dude, Pauper is so much fun.
I just love to set you off.
It is such a good format.
It's just so much fun.
It is such a good format, and it is like an easy format for people to hop into.
Chat, we got him.
What do you mean? Like, it's a great format. Okay, George is the worst. He texted me and he said, I'm here. After I texted him and said, just hop in. So what am I supposed to do? I have to send him the link again?
Listen, you do what you got to do. I'm going to shout out Sam. It was Sam Black, you said, right?
Yeah.
For clearly watching the content that I made 9 months ago when I said standard doesn't make sense, except he probably had a more well thought out and reasonable reason why. But I have said this for quite some time. I want standard to make sense. At the bottom of my heart, wants standard to make sense and thrive. But it doesn't. But I also don't think it clearly has to do with how Wizards design products. But I think it has to do with how we as a society and a community engage with hobbies in 2023. We don't devote all of our energy to one thing anymore. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Every hobbyist has a ton of things that they talk about that they do for fun. And when you're a standard Magic player, like, that's what you do. You got to constantly keep up. You got to see what the new cards are. You got to read every card coming out in the next set. You're actually tuned into spoiler season because you want to know what cards are going to be good, what cards aren't going to be good. Like, we just don't engage with hobbies that way. We need something that's more modern fitting, more pioneer fitting. And I've always said, Pioneer should fill the mold that was standard.
Listen, I would agree with you if they didn't print cards directly into Modern, and if I didn't think they were going to print cards directly into Pioneer.
So that's
we all know
that's why
Pioneer
Pioneer
Horizons
has to.
is coming. No, we all know Pioneer.
We don't. We don't know that.
It's 100%.
We don't know that. Pioneer Masters.
Yeah, maybe that's what it ends up being. I agree with you. Like, I feel like the modern. Okay, so I'm the opposite of the person you should be listening to about this, everybody. But this is what I hear from my store and from people. I feel like what they should do with modern is just stop modern. It should be not stop the format. Not end the format. Modern should cut off at like where. I don't know, somewhere they should stop printing cards directly into it. It should be a format that's like, it exists, and I think they should get rid of all the bans and they should reset the format. Like, what's the card that everybody always thinks can get unbanned? The red card, Splitter Twin. Splinter Twin has been replaced with better cards. Like, it has, like, there are new cards that are more boogeymen than Splinter Twin. They should just reset the ban list and reset the format. I think they should end the direct print to it. Do you hate that?
You just proposed the worst idea ever. So if you end the set so no new cards can ever enter into Modern and nothing gets printed directly into it, you just have the same cards forever and it never changes.
Well, they do they do the direct print. What I'm saying is, like, if they're going to print cards directly into it, then that's what they should do. they shouldn't continue to add new standard cards into it. So then standard becomes your little 4 or 5 set thing that they always have. I guess now it's like 7 sets or whatever. Pioneer becomes what was modern, which is like an older format that evolves over time with the new sets. And then modern becomes a thing that they don't have to think about with their new sets on the standard rotation side. No?
No. The first two things you said were totally fine, right? If you want to bring standard back, which I would love if it happened, I think Pioneer should be the primary way that people play Magic week to week, because it gives you a chance to explore with new cards, and it's the most accessible way to play, FNM level Magic for most people, and while still keeping you wanting to play with the new cards and new sets. Modern is so popular on the 60 card one-on-one format. You cannot make Modern go away. And if you're concerned about, like, I'm trying to think what the last standard card that broke Modern was. Like, Beanstalk saw a lot of play. It still isn't Rakdos Evoke. Like, the problem that in that format are the cards printed directly into that format. It has nothing to do with the standard cards. And even if you print a standard card that for some reason doesn't break standard, doesn't break Pioneer, but decimates Modern, that's what you have the ban list for. Mm-hmm. So you cannot be like, I know you and George, hopefully he's here soon, nobody plays in any way but Commander. I understand both of you. You're both wrong, but I understand you. You cannot just throw Modern out. Like, that can't happen.
I'm not saying throw Modern out. That's not what I'm saying.
That's in a nutshell, that's what your suggestion sounds like.
Okay, well, my suggestion might be bad because this is what George keeps saying to me. He's acting like he's here. He's texting me and saying he's here, but he's not here. Which probably means, yet again, he probably used an old link from like 6 months ago because he doesn't know how to use technology. So we'll see if it ever shows up. I think that so when we did pre-release this week, one of the things that was really cool was hearing when there's everybody. We had 50 people, like everyone in the community who comes and plays was playing there, new people, everything. And one of the things that everyone kept asking is like, when did you start playing Magic? And the answer was always this block or that block, or like it always came back to I played when these sets were standard. And I think that is one of the things that you really lose with the future of Magic, if you get rid of standard, is like, where do you enter and how do you remember Magic? And I don't know if that matters or not. It certainly matters to the conversations that were happening in my store this week. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if like, oh, I played in Commander. My first Commander was from, I don't know, Ravnica. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that works or not.
I don't think you're wrong, but I don't think that has necessarily to do with standard. That's not a standard versus Pioneer versus Modern versus Commander issue. It's how the Magic the Gathering scene works now. I don't think anyone gets involved and has that big moment where you spend 4 nights a week at a game store and you always harken back to this time in your life, and these were the popular cards, and I pulled a foil Platinum Angel out of Mirrodin, and not that I'm saying out of personal experience, but man, that was pretty amazing when that happened. I don't think we have that anymore. I think what you have now is, oh, I learned to play Commander with my buddies, and we get together once or twice a week. Oh, do you remember when this happened in the game? Do you remember when this happened in our Commander game?
Yeah.
And it's about that social contract now. It's less about the cards and more about that social contract.
Okay, then let me ask you a crazy question. Does one-on-one Magic need to exist?
Yes.
Okay. I agree with you. And one of the craziest things has been seeing like my store, people who play in pre-release this weekend, like they didn't know how to play one-on-one Magic.
Yeah.
They didn't know like a couple people, not this week, we learned, like we're a new store, right? We've only been open at this location for 7 months or 8 months, something like that. So like we're new, we're fresh, right?
Right.
We had people last release at Wilds. They lost their first game. And their opponent was like, no, you sit down and you play best of 3, right?
Yeah.
And then we paired round 2 and they weren't there. They left. They didn't know. They thought that was it. I didn't think to be like, hey everyone, there's going to be multiple rounds. I guess because I'm a new store owner, right? Like they came back from the store 2 days later. I was like, hey, here's like 5 free packs. I'm sorry, like I missed the mark here. But like also you need to learn that like when you're playing one-on-one, it's not just like you play your commander game and you leave. I'm sure they're like, wow, that was only 30 minutes. That wasn't worth $25. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But I just think without standard, I don't know what the entry point is for the large community. Like for my store, it's Pauper. That's I sell Pauper all the time to my store. But for the wider Magic the Gathering community, if you don't go into standard, what do you go from commander to modern? Yeah, I know your answer is going to be Pioneer.
I think it has to be, and I think Wizards of the Coast realize it can't be. WotC knows you can't jump from commander to modern. I think most 60 card single or 60 card one-on-one players will eventually flirt with modern. Like it feels like the most in-depth way to play 60 card one-on-one. And that's just the feel. That's a completely arrogant and total feel take, but that's what it feels like. But they're trying to answer this with bringing back standard, right? But it's not the first time they've tried to fix this path. The Pioneer Challenger decks are a wonderful example of like, hey, we know you probably got introduced via Commander. We're going to push Pioneer. Also, if you're a Commander player, you want to play in a Pioneer event, you can just buy this deck and just play, right? And so I think products like that show that it can't just be Commander. Like I hate to say this, and listen, I'm biased, but one-on-one Magic is such a fun game. It's such an incredible card game, and I'm going to say it. I'll say it. Some of that is lost when you play Commander. Some of the beauty that is Magic the Gathering, the card game, is lost to Commander. It just is. And you get more social experience. There's better. There's upside too. But some of it's gone.
I think you have to be careful though, because like there are people who will never play one-on-one Magic, and that's fine. Like,
that's okay.
That's what they want. They want the casual. Like that's frankly
totally fine.
I think outside of Pauper, I would be okay with not playing any one-on-one Magic that's not Pauper. Like I would be fine with that. But like I think that from a growth standpoint for Magic the Gathering, there is a large group of people who care about like the more competitive Magic. They want to do that one-on-one thing, and they will be missing a consumer in their ecosystem if they don't sell something that is good competitive play. And I think that's why they're leaning into standard. I don't see them selling modern anymore. Do you? Like I see modern as like the local RCQs. Like we're going to start doing that in the new year. We're going to start doing like some regional event stuff. That is what I see as a sales point for modern. I don't see Wizards selling modern anymore.
Well, Modern Horizons 2 was arguably the largest set ever until Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
I think they're definitely selling modern.
I guess it's just been a while since Modern Horizons 2. I guess we'll see that again in Modern Horizons 3.
Yeah, we got Modern Horizons 3 coming up.
Was there no direct to modern set last year then? Modern Horizons 2 was the last.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I always forget that was direct to modern.
Yeah.
Direct to modern.
So it was a weird one, but I got to tell you, it was a cool little shake up to modern. It was cool.
Oh, duh, One Ring. What am I talking about? God, George.
Orcish Bowmasters.
How does George troll us even when he's not here?
This is it's Schrodinger's George. Based on when you showed up and listened to the podcast, George is either here or not here, and you won't know until you get there. Like until you open the box.
Completely distracted by George for the last 2 minutes, like 20 minutes. But I forgot the One Ring and all that stuff had such a big effect. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. You can't get rid of one-on-one Magic, and not to be hyperbolic, but competitive Magic. And this is where things get lost. There's a whole subset of humanity in Magic the Gathering that's not Pro Tour hyper competitive, but also still likes playing Pioneer and Modern and Standard. Yeah. And listen, I play hundreds of these games a month at this point, and I'm not going to the Pro Tour. I do it all completely for fun.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't show up on my channel. It is just because I enjoy it.
Right.
You have to keep that alive because that keeps card design interesting. When you design cards for formats that way, you have interesting card design, right? We see a lot of complaints with card design that is made just for Commander, right? When you see card design you're excited for. It's normally cards designed for one-on-one. And that also keeps Wizards of the Coast kind of honest and on their toes. You can't just, oh, you don't like this? Rule 0 with your commander team. We're going to print whatever we want. We're going to print as much of it as we want. We don't care. Right. Here, have it all. It keeps them honest. It lets us to play in our sandbox that we have right now. So you can't just get rid of it.
So was the One Ring a good thing for Modern? Was Orchestra Masters a good thing for Modern?
Yeah. Like, listen, right? Everyone's like, Ragavan's the most ridiculous card ever printed. It's so stupid. Oh, wait, Orcish Bowmasters? Ragavan's unplayable. Awesome.
Okay.
Like, it shakes things up. And yes, the One Ring is a powerful card. Bowmaster is a powerful card. But, like, always new powerful cards. There's always a new boogeyman. It shakes things up. It keeps it exciting. The Modern metagame constantly shifting is one of the most attractive factors. There's a new top deck when it's not Rakdos Scam season.
There's a lot of negativity about Modern, though, right now, isn't there?
Well, that's
Rakdos Scam like 40% of the meta or something?
It's absurd right now. And it's a ridiculous deck. It is so good. It is, yes. And that's deserved.
So that's where I get into, if you don't have Standard, I guess your answer is Pioneer, but like around me, Pioneer is just like, it's just dead. There's nobody does Pioneer. Nobody asked me to, like, people ask me to do Modern, and there are Modern tournaments around us. Nobody's asking for Pioneer. And like, I think without Standard, what's the entry ramp for the average Magic consumer into competitive play? That would be my disagreeing with Sam Black here, which I shouldn't be able to do because I'm sure he knows way more than me about everything Magic. But that'd be my disagreement to it. Is like, what's the entry level for a consumer? But no response.
I just don't want to keep hammering the same thing over and over again. I know that Pioneer's not big around you. I know that we need to do better at pruning Pioneer, but I think that needs to be, if we're not going to have healthy Standard, that has to be the evolution.
Yeah. My point is, I hope that they reinvent Standard, and that's what they're doing with this whole Standard push. I hope that it works. Yeah. And as a store owner, I am leaning into what they are. In my, don't believe what people say, believe their actions. Right? What they are doing is putting Standard on a pedestal. So I'm choosing, because I have a relationship with an abusive company, I am choosing to believe in what they are doing, and I'm putting my eggs in that basket. So, all right, let's move on to Sorcery Beta. Everybody can leave the time. I love every week. There's always a timestamp of when we start Sorcery content in the comment section. Like 3 people do that. So you can make your timestamps here. Yeah.
It would have been cool if you said that and then we didn't talk about Sorcery. Just haha, gotcha.
I forgot to promote my Black Lotus thing. Well, you were supposed to do it like multiple times.
I did at the start of the show.
Okay. It was just the start. We'll leave it there then. All right.
Buy Black Lotus dice. They're cool. GameGroves.gg.
They're massive. I wish I had one in here. They're huge. They're like,
you didn't bring the thing you wanted to pump?
I have a screen, the picture of it. It's the size of a Magic card. It's huge.
Yeah, but you have the thing.
It's at the shop. What do you want from me? I'm not perfect.
For you to bring it? Perfect. I thought I made this clear.
Let's talk about Sorcery. Sorcery Beta. You've got some sales data.
I do have some sales data for Sorcery Beta. What numbers do you want, baby?
No, I don't want numbers. I don't care about the numbers. I want your opinions. I want your thoughts. I want your raw emotion without giving us the numbers first. How is Sorcery doing on TCG Player as a whole with beta boxes and cases?
Much better than I anticipated.
Wow.
Much better than I anticipated. Listen, so Sorcery just kind of showing up on TCG Player after official, not necessarily after official release, but after release, but still kind of before official release with all the crazy delays. We see products on TCG Player post-release don't necessarily pop, right? Everyone pre-orders and wants to get their stuff. Then the hype cycle ends and people kind of move on. I fully anticipated Sorcery to sell like 100 boxes on TCG Player. And I was going to be like, that's healthy. That's just generic flow. And let's see how that goes over the course of 3, 6, and 8 months. Mm-hmm. No, man. It sold. I think at last count was like 590 boxes total on
Dang.
TCG Player already. It's been on there for a week or two.
This
Like
is a
it's
beta.
yes, Sorcery beta. I don't think tracking alpha
It
numbers
includes
is worth
cases.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't think tracking alpha numbers are worth it because if you're going to buy alpha Sorcery, I don't think you're turning to TCG Player for that purchase. That's
if you're not in the Facebook groups. There are bizarre people who aren't who collect and buy indie TCGs and are not in the Discords and are not in the Facebooks. It's crazy.
I that would be a hard way to live that life. As someone who lived that life, that would be a hard way to go about living that life.
It is crazy.
So
shout out to Brandon. Brandon traveled all the way from, I believe it was Iowa. I almost just looked it up, but I believe it was Iowa to my event, my Sorcery beta event. 9.5 hours from Iowa to West Virginia to come play Sorcery in our beta release event. We had like 16 players. I
thought you were going to say in our basement.
In our basement. And because we were talking about something, and I was like, oh, just like I'll take you in Discord. And he's like, oh, I'm not in Discord. I was like, oh, I'm posting on Facebook. He's like, I'm not on Facebook. I was like, where are you, dude? Like,
how'd you find out about Sorcery? How do you know that Sorcery exists? Like,
I don't know. I have no clue.
Say what you were thinking.
Maybe he watches YouTube videos and he saw my channel. I don't know. Maybe
let's go. Sorcery's #1 content creator.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, people exist that aren't in those groups, and that's where those sales come. Or that's where a lot of the sales come from. So. Sure. I was actually surprised too. I'm surprised to hear this number. Listen, there's only 12 listings. That's kind of wild. Yeah. But I was surprised at the sales because I thought because of the amount of pre-orders that were up. I had pre-orders. You had Team Covenant. You had all the the stores that kind of got them. You had, Game Nerds had a metric ton for a while. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, it's all tanking because Game Nerds is here." Like you had a lot of that kind of stuff. I thought that everybody got the boxes that they were going to want plus more. And I think what's happening is the same thing that happened with Alpha. Same thing Louis said was going to happen. People opened their boxes and they had the best box opening experience of their life. Part two. And, the best box opening experience so far. Well, I think a lot of people didn't have the Alpha boxes too. And then they said, hey, I want more. And so they go online and they couldn't find pre-orders because stores don't have product. And yeah, that's my thoughts.
I like that you wrapped that up with, and yeah, because you had to cough. And I feel that on a spiritual level right now.
I was doing my box opening video today for Exelon, and I was like, 3 packs left. I'm like, I've gotten through this whole thing. I drank water before. I was doing good. I was like, uh-oh. I could feel it, like the cough just like sitting in the back of my throat. So I like rushed the packs. And I was like, God, thanks for the video, everybody, goodbye. And then that sucks.
Got to get the medicine ball from Starbucks. Me and my wife been turned on to it since we've both been sick. I have an ethical question for you because I have more sorcery that I want to talk about. But I have an ethical question.
Starbucks? No, you should not buy anything from Starbucks.
No, I have an ethical question for you. Yes, I too would not shop or buy anything from Starbucks.
So no joke. I was in this group.
Oh, my ethical question. That's fine.
Oh, this goes to ethics. There apparently Starbucks had some limited Starbucks cup that was like 1 Starbucks cup per store, and like me, Louis, who hates Starbucks, went to 2 stores to try to get the limited Starbucks cup to flip on eBay.
Well, you like chasing things, like you like the chase and the flip, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's why it was so crazy in there today. And I looked at the person. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" They're like, "It's Cup Day," and I'm like,
"Yeah, dude."
I was like, "I don't know what that means, but thank you."
I tried to beat all the single moms to Starbucks to get the cup so I could sell it to the single moms on eBay.
Not all the moms that go to Starbucks are single. Just so you're aware.
That's who has money to shop at Starbucks. Like people who. Never mind. Not going there.
Also people with jobs, like, employed individuals.
There's accountability. Like my wife doesn't go to Starbucks every day because I'm like, hey, you got to stop spending money at Starbucks. And she says you got to stop spending money on cards. And so there's like an accountability thing there.
So you did what I did, or we did the same thing. You're just doing it way better than I did. We started businesses because now, baby, I didn't spend the money on the cards.
Yeah, the business did.
Hometown TCG did. So ethical question for you.
Okay.
Because I'm clearly very sick. And I just got a text message from my best friend, and he said, "Hey, are you up?" And he lives in my neighborhood, and he's actually married to my wife's sister. And I was worried. I was worried. Because, like, oh, God, he's got 2 kids. And we have babysitter issues. I had to watch his 1-year-old son on Monday with my daughter. It was great. Fantastic day. But his son was very clearly sick, and he did not tell me.
And now you're sick.
And now I'm very sick.
Yeah.
And my wife is sick. And he just texted me and said, "I just wanted to let you know I have strep." Ethically, how wrong is he for not telling me about this? I still would have watched his son. I care about my nephew to my core.
I think if you're gonna ask somebody to watch your kids and you're sick, you have to disclose that. Unless it's family. In that case, is all.
No. See, because he married my wife's sister. He's technically my brother-in-law.
He's family. Yeah, he's family. It doesn't matter.
He is wrong for
this. It doesn't matter because it's assumed. Your family, you take care of your own, and you'll
and I would have done that, but he could have told me.
No,
but if he would have told me ahead of time, because we knew this was coming all weekend, I could have loaded up on vitamins, minerals, but it makes me feel better. And listen, your body's got to fight things better when you're full of vitamins and not pepperoni stick, right?
It's the placebo effect.
And if the placebo effect keeps me healthy, then it works. Like, that's all that matters. If it gives my body the confidence to fight off the infection.
I think he's in the clear if he's family. Not family, not in the clear. You're not family, you're not in the clear.
Brian, you're a jerk.
All right. So here's the other thing. Alpha singles and beta singles, they're like at an equilibrium right now, and you're starting to see the market self-correct, which is a really cool thing to see.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool to see.
They're that close right now?
Oh yeah, like Grandmaster.
I haven't looked at single.
Alpha and Beta, same price, which is like a great playable card that people want. And because the Alpha supply, when TCG players started, everybody put up the cards, and then everybody was like, "Oh, Beta's going to come out. Everything's going to tank." The Beta demand. Excuse me. Sorry, everybody. The Beta demand. The demand of people opening, not getting Grandmaster Wizard, wanting the card, the beta demand shot the beta price up to above what the alpha price. There's like a bunch of cards that were like this, that kind of like now alpha is starting to go up because they see the demand. It's kind of cool. So a ton of sales this week, dude, of alpha singles.
What's the ecosystem that we're living in? Is the alpha single too expensive, or is the beta single too cheap?
Oh, I think. Oh, you want to hear my hot take?
Or wait, take what I just said and flip it. But you understand what I'm saying.
I don't think it's necessarily either of those things. I think it's because it's a newer indie TCG, the ecosystem behind the game doesn't have the amount of sellers that it needs. So like Magic, a new product comes out and there's 1 billion sellers. People have been selling this thing for... Gosh, we are so sick. This is terrible.
Since you had Parvo.
Yeah. People have been selling Magic cards for 30 years. You have Magic, sellers on TCG Player who have accounts and have, 1,000 history, whatever.
Sure.
Sorcery comes out and they are doing it right. They're going to these big sources like TCG Player.
Keep going.
But the ecosystem, I'm just doing the pot. What did you just break? The ecosystem doesn't exist for a lot of the sellers. They don't know, they don't have accounts. And so when you open up your stuff, you can't list it. And then the prices go up because the demand and supply. Ooh, is this you pumping your box opening? The fact
are you telling me you need more sellers? I got you, baby.
The fact that you're going to sell boxes as openings before I do, because I'm not doing it until after I pull a foil alpha stone, is you're beating me to market, and I'm embarrassed.
I'm just doing what you said needs to be done. I hope it didn't flash my address on this thing.
Oh no! Someone's going to come to your house and steal your foil sharks.
That's not funny. We don't joke about serious things, okay? That's not funny. This is crazy heavy.
Dude, there's 12 boxes in there.
Yeah, that's a really heavy box.
Yeah. Anyway, the amount of sellers isn't meeting the demand of the amount of purchasers. It's not necessarily a print run issue, I have no clue what the print run is. I'm assuming we're not allowed to talk about that because when we do, we get the axe. But like I don't have mine anymore. I don't feel like it's a print run issue. I feel like it's a seller issue and a because the demand is crazy. I mean, I've done thousands of dollars on TCG Player in the last 2 weeks of singles. Like it's crazy.
Well, you're right on with the demand. I mean, looking at the numbers, you're averaging like 30 to 40 boxes a day on TCG Player over the last 7 days.
That's crazy.
Like that's your average. And don't get me wrong, it's trending down because that's how TCGs work. It's been released. But still, I mean, your demand take might be spot on. I don't know about your number of sellers. Like,
there's 12 listings. 12 listings.
We've seen this with indie TCGs. We've seen this with indie TCGs before. When there are too many sellers right away, you run into a dangerous space.
I mean, that's fair. I'm not arguing that this is good. That's good.
I think it's the right amount of sellers. If things are this stable, I would argue it's the right amount of sellers for the community for now. 13
listings for the Color Out of Space, which is a unique. That's not that many people. I don't know. I guess I anticipated more people coming to market. 3, that's foil. Elite Mix Aqua. 12 listings. 12 people selling that card. I guess I anticipated like 30 people to be selling these on TCG Player. Because in my opinion, in my brain, the average consumer has some sort of way to sell their cards, and that's just not the case. I guess people are lazy; they don't want to sell cards. But
the number of people that don't sell cards, that like we just buy cards and
this is you.
We always dream that we're gonna open a TCG Player account and sell cards, and spoiler alert, we just never do.
I don't get it, man. I don't understand being in this hobby and not allowing it to pay for itself, because it can and it does. Like it drives me nuts. Like I feel like it's a missed opportunity. I guess people just don't want to. I guess people don't have as much time on their hands as I do. I guess I don't know.
What have I spent the last 5 straight days doing? My job.
Yeah,
I have worked all weekend in a crazy schedule.
Video games. Like I can't tell you how much I rather like make money enjoying my hobby and like allow my hobby to fund itself, so I'm not taking money from my parent, sorry, not my parents, not taking money from, I guess in this world sometimes people are taking money from the parents, so I'm not taking money from my parents spending on hobbies. No, so I'm not taking money from my kids and like my family.
I've started to introduce the podcast or my live stream every Friday morning with coming to you live from my own basement, not my mother's basement, my own basement. Thank you.
I don't know, man. I think more people should get involved in that side of the hobby because it can fund itself and it's good. I've done that a lot on the channel. I've talked about that a lot on the channel, but
yeah, maybe I should. Maybe a good friend should help me and pack and ship all my stuff for me.
I also wonder if their advertising, I tried to talk about this last week, but their advertising is pretty cool. Like they had a whole TCG Player sent out. Everybody with a TCG Player email got an email this week about Sorcery, and that's kind of cool. Like,
oh yeah, did I win the alpha box?
I don't know, but the real storytelling in a TCG, like they're doing cool stuff and they're doing it right, and I think that's really important to acknowledge.
Listen, if I win the Sorcery bundle, the alpha box, I won't make a new TCG Player.
If you win it, you won't make a new TCG player?
Won't make it. So I'm incentivizing TCG Player not to make an enemy, but to rather have a friend.
Aren't you just selling your stuff as as box openings anyway?
No, I won't make a brand new TCG Player site and take down TCG Player with their ridiculous fees.
Gosh, that's so not happening that I didn't even understand what you're saying. All right, I've pumped your thing twice. Now it's time to pump. I got my playmats, everyone. We're like 40% sold out of these playmats. So if you want one, you should hurry up and get one because they'll be here soon and they'll start shipping. These are the paired playmats. So they're two. We didn't even have an image last week. So it's 2 separate playmats and then they fit together to be one. So it's kind of a cool little thing. So
I thought
on my website, Game Grove.
You get more credit for this. You get more credit. This idea was pretty cool. I got to tell you, you sent me this idea when I was taking care of my kid and like very distracted. I was like, ugh, What could it? Oh, that's really cool. Like, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So shout out to you. You don't have many of them. This was a good one.
People are going to steal this idea from me.
Oh, 100%.
And you know what? That's fine.
Just keep doing it better than they do.
Yeah.
I told
I'll
you how
come
to
up with
improve
another
it.
idea.
I told you how to improve it. I gave you the sauce already.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the negatives because it's very important. I don't want anybody to think that we are only talking about the positives, and things have been very good for beta. But
wait, hold on. Who has watched this podcast only thinks we talk about the positives?
Listen, I like talking about the negatives more than I like talking about the positives.
We've talked about MetaZoo for the better part of a year now. We clearly don't only talk about the positives.
All right. We have not talked about MetaZoo for a long time.
I said for the better part of a year. It's still more than 50%.
All right. So Sorcery beta, there's some print issues that people are sharing, and I did experience this. The number one thing I think that's an issue, that the thing that I think is the most valid concern that people are bringing into attention, and even my buddy Brian, who he's never played a TCG before. He played with the alpha cards with me. Then we got the beta precons. We were sitting down the other day. And this is what he said. He said, the cards look duller. They look more dull. And that has been the number one complaint that I've heard from it. And that would be the number one complaint that I would say. It's hard to put into words what it feels like. It just feels different. It's not that beta cards look bad. The artwork's still gorgeous. It's still an amazing looking card. It still feels high quality. I think actually the cut is better on beta. You have less whitening in my opinion. But compared to alpha, it feels like they lowered not the resolution. It feels like they lowered the saturation, or they lowered the amount of color that's within the card. And particularly on foils, when I see the foil on a beta card, I'm like, oh, that's not as good looking as the alpha.
Okay.
So there's a lot of that going on. And then I put in the Discord, you can see the difference of the backs. It almost looks like the printer was running out of ink at some point. And so you have a difference in the backs of the card being pretty dull versus some of the other cards in the same even case. So that's one thing. Then clumping. Shout out to Chris Scott. He used to watch the channel. I don't know if you still watch, Chris. If you do, shout out to you, buddy. He pulled really good. He got 6 exceptional foil sites. 3 were duels. So there's some clumping, which we saw that in alpha too. We saw some clumping in alpha. This seems like the clumping might be worse though. The big one is the uniques. Some people are pulling crazy amounts of uniques. This guy, Andrew, clumping unique foils, wild for beta. I've opened 2 cases, the first of which had 0 unique foils. The second had 20 unique foils in 6 boxes. That's
what's the average?
If I were to dream about something tonight, it would be pulling 20 unique foils in 1 case. That's absolute insanity.
Don't let your dreams be dreams, bud.
I had a couple of boxes that had 5 unique foils in alpha, but a case having 20 is, that's a fifth of it's more than that. That's a third of the number of unique foils that are in the set. There's 63, I believe, unique cards in the set. I think I'm right about that. And so it's a third of the unique foils in 1 case. That's absolute. I would, yeah, I don't know, man. I would be way too excited about that. So that kind of stuff is happening, and that does feel bad, I guess. If you know that that's the way it is, I don't need it to be perfect odds, right? I don't need any guarantee of 1 unique foil per case. But knowing that that's a little bit like that is a little bit off-putting.
Clumping is always a rough one, right? Because for every story where you have this amazing box opening and all these great cards, that there's one that's the opposite end of that spectrum, right? You'd prefer it to be more well spread out. I was more surprised about the discoloration, the coloring on the cards. Yeah. When that popped up on my social media feed, I think mine popped up on Facebook when somebody shared it. I didn't expect that from Sorcery because the art is such a key factor.
Yeah.
In the game, it's so front and center every time we talk about Sorcery. I did not expect that, and this is where you're gonna have your split. If you're a Sorcery fan and you just love Sorcery, there's probably nothing you can do. We've seen this with other TCGs. There's nothing Sorcery or this game could do that you would actually think is bad. You're going to be like, it's fine. It's beta. People, they'll get over it and fix it. And if you are looking for something to complain about, you'll hang on to this and try to make it a big deal. Yeah. Realistically, it's probably somewhere in the middle. You'd like to see this fixed going forward. And again, we don't know. Let's get into wild speculation. We don't know if they printed it all at once and they're holding on to it, but if they plan on doing a reprint to service the community throughout the next year, you would hope to see stuff like this is fixed, or maybe it's just in the next set.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it is. Frankly, like, you don't know if it's intentional or not either. Like, we've been involved in stuff where the idea is like make the next one slightly worse than previous, and this is like something in that you could see happening. I don't think that's an intention. I would not assume that that's there.
Well, as far as the coloring goes, I thought we've seen cards in beta that are colored differently when compared to cards in beta.
Yeah, but like the entire print run definitely feels a little bit less vibrant.
Okay,
that would be what I would say. The whole run definitely feels less, but we've also seen, and this is the kicker for me, that's like, maybe that exists. Again, I'm not saying that exists.
I would hope that's not the way they make alpha feel more special, is by making the beta cards look.
I'm not even really speculating that, but there also was the Blink foil, which is a card in the game called Blink. It's got the wrong text on it. It has the Blizzard foil, or the Blizzard card text. So there's another instance of like they changed something from the sheet that they sent, the printer sheet that they said this is the file. They did change that sheet more than just subbing out the A for the B. So I don't know. I still don't buy that they're intentionally doing it. I would say this is more of a factor of, you use this printer before. They did a good job for alpha, and they were down there, or they were over there, and they worked with them, and they quality assured quality. What's the guy from The Office that he does quality? He's like
quality control, quality assurance.
No, this is a great quote. He's like, what do I do here? Quality assurance, quality control, quality. It's something like that. Anyway, I was trying to make an Office quote, but now you have beta, and maybe you're like, oh, they did a great job. Everything should be good to go. And they don't quite do it as well, right? Like when you're not there, I don't know if they went down there or not, but when you're not there making sure that it's going good, it's not going to get done as well. And so maybe this is just like Arthurian Legends or whatever dragon set they're not promoting that's obviously coming out before Arthurian Legends. Arthurian Legends,
wow.
Like, they need
Are you just wildly speculating on a podcast? Are you going to be banned from Sorcery before I do a box opening?
Hot take, we get a dragon subset before we get Arthurian Legends. Like a mini set. Like, I'm talking pre-constructed decks, no foils.
How many sharks?
All the sharks. There's going to be a shark-themed deck.
Sharks were around when dinosaurs, the closest things to dragons, were around, so like maybe.
Dragons are the coolest, man. I like
dragons are pretty dope. All right, we got to wrap this podcast up. We're both dying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, anyway, I think beta all in all went pretty well. Obviously the market, the big question is, can we get more boxes? I basically have been begging my reps for more boxes.
Are they just out? There is no more? Or
ask me again on Friday. Ask me again on Friday. Ask me again on Friday. Ask me again on Friday.
How many Fridays has it been?
Well, I ask every day.
Oh.
So Friday hasn't come yet. Tomorrow I'll ask them again. If their response is ask me again on Friday, I'm going to be a little bit upset.
You're a wonderful customer.
Squeaky wheel gets the oil. Something like that.
It's the grease.
All right. Lorana release. Happy release day, Lorana.
Lorana release.
Speaking of things I need more boxes from.
Now equipped with fancy side stickies. Wow, these things are super sticky. I don't even know what to call these. They call them strippies, but they're super sticky. Was that not the most awkward interview thing you've ever seen?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
What is it with people? That reminded me so much of George talking about a TCG. And it was so awkward. And I'm like, Why are all these awkward people so wildly successful and good at what they do?
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Why are we so non-successful?
Yeah, what is happening here?
Maybe we're just not good and we think we are. Okay,
Cockiness, I like it.
So a couple of things. I have a zillion decks. Every person in the universe could play Lorcana in my shop on Friday. And then we have like 3 boxes. Why don't they print less decks and more boxes on initial release?
Buddy, we're not going to rehash this through this whole section.
What?
They made a mistake with the amount of boxes they sent to print. They are still living and they haven't had time to correct it. They can't get the printer space.
They had time to increase the number of decks because I got way more decks than I got from first set. I'm not complaining. First off, let me start. I'm not complaining about getting more Lorcana. I'm not even complaining about the truck and a half worth of sleeves and deck boxes that they dumped on my doorstep. I'm not even complaining about that. I'm just complaining about why increase everything else but not booster boxes. Just keep it the same.
What do you mean? Because Ravensburger's not great at this. Like, I don't understand what question you're asking.
I'm happy with that answer. We can move on from that.
I don't understand what question you're asking. And you want to know what else?
It doesn't matter.
Still doesn't matter.
Still doesn't matter.
Still to this day, does Lorcana boxes dipped under $300? Instantly started flying off the shelves.
No, they're down to $220, $215.
I said they dipped under. Would you call that under $300?
Yeah, but they haven't gone back up. They're still down there. First set.
Do you not listen when I talk?
You said they went back up.
No, I said they started flying off the shelves.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know how. I feel like I made that very clear. Okay.
No, sorry. I thought you were saying the
No.
box price went up. It has not gone up.
No. They're just selling like absolute fire. They're on fire.
That's fair.
They're selling this month like a new Magic release. And I'm talking the first chapter.
That's crazy.
Not the most recent release.
That's crazy. So yeah, new set. Everyone's excited. I wish there was also more. I wish they would have done 4 starter decks again. There's only 2.
Well, they did 3 in the first round.
Oh, was that 3? Is that going to be a normal thing, or do you think those is this like a supplemental release, or is this a full set release?
I thought they were all full set releases.
Okay.
I thought that was their thing. There was no supplemental. I thought it was all full set releases. But I agree. Two starter deck releases don't feel great.
Yeah.
Like it's something about having the option of the 3. I just like it.
I think it's because like once you play one-on-one, you're like, oh, I get the. You're never like, hey, let's bring that other deck in. I'll rotate it around, that kind of thing.
Yeah. All the new infinite possibilities. Right. Okay.
But that's gonna be really popular. And then they did get into. It seems like they're gonna add the shrink wrap. So I would believe. I'm gonna speculate. Do you think we get first chapter in shrink wrap? Because they say here they added the wafer seals. That's what they're calling these things.
Dude, stop. I don't want to hear your criticism here. We're both chunky guys. We like a good wafer every now and again. Okay.
Starting with the third set, all booster boxes will be shrink wrapped to improve box security. So do you think we see shrink wrapped first chapter boxes?
You would think like once they print the third set, if they go back and reprint the first set at all, that they would be done with those same printing practices.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't.
You'll have people who want to collect all 3, like the no wafer. You're gonna have on TCG Player. They're gonna have Lorcana first chapter.
No wafer.
No wafer. Lorcana first chapter. Wafer box. Lorcana first chapter. This one they figured out how to seal it.
I thought it was hilarious. They're like, hey, we didn't use shrink wrap because we love the environment, and every game that uses shrink wrap hates the environment. And then they came over that out to like, hey, we're doing that shrink wrap thing.
We've been through this. If you're gonna make a TCG and kill all the trees required to make a TCG, you should just not pretend to be for. I'm all for doing things better. I'm not saying intent. Pokemon, you've gone too far. They're like, we're killing all the trees and using all of the plastic we can possibly find in the universe. Pokemon went too far with it. but you can't make an argument that you are trying to save the environment and be a
No.
trading card company.
No, you absolutely cannot. Especially if you're printing as much usually. But here's the pushback to that is Lorcana is essentially printed on cloth because it is as good as American money.
There you go.
If you've got Lorcana, it is as good as having American dollar bills in your hand. I can't believe how fast this thing still sells.
Singles too. I've had a couple people trade in singles to get boxes this week or packs or whatever, and like I list the single and it sells 30 seconds. It's a infinite money glitch. It's unbelievable.
My favorite is the YouTube comment section because I might be the world's biggest Lorcana content creator. I'm not sure, but I might be.
I don't even know who the world's biggest Lorcana content creator is.
I have no idea. That's why I'm saying it. And someone's gonna be like, "No, this person's got 150,000 subs." I'm like, oh.
I honestly feel like the main channels for TCGs have completely not touched Lorcana.
My Lorcana videos pop off, dude. They do great. And the best part of all this is watching people in the comment section move the goalpost.
Oh, yeah.
The first one be like, this game will be dead in a month before set 2, halfway through set 1. The reprint comes, people are still buying it. I show the data. They're like, this is all flippers. You show the increase in sales after the reprint. Just watching them constantly be like, it's good. No, it sucks because it's going to die here. It's going to die. Like our community, and I say this with love as a member of this community, we cannot grasp in 2023 that people just like this card game. And it's not the most mechanically intensive game. The company printing it constantly screws stuff up. It doesn't hit the things that we care about on the nose. And people just like, oh, I like the game. I'm going to play it. Like, we can't grasp that concept.
I feel it. They also, I don't have a screenshot of this. I thought it, but they came out and said that the Disney 100 boxes, the D100 collector box thing, that is the goal of that is to be a collectible thing. This is like contrast to what they've said about boxes, which is we're printing it to oblivion. We want boxes to be on shelves. Boxes will be dirt cheap.
Right.
Opposite of what they're saying there is like those D100 boxes are collectible. So we'll see what that looks like. That interests me a lot, honestly, because my biggest gripe.
Don't you start making Lorcana content, you jerk.
My biggest gripe with Lorcana has been: does a board game company understand the importance of collectability, and can they continue that even when there is not the infinite money glitch that is currently happening with Lorcana? Like to put you in perspective with what is happening, I'm not sure. I assume you know this, but like people who have the money to gamble and buy 30 cases of boxes at $200, $300, $225. It doesn't matter where the price point is because they're seeing the singles move. Like when that infinite money glitch ends, which it will, can they create a collectible game that still, that's the question for me. And to see them say that they care about something like that, I think is important. So that's something I'm definitely tracking.
And this isn't to push back on what you said, but just to kind of take what you said and put it into a bit of perspective. If that's the case, if Johnny Rich Boy is buying 7 Lorcana cases every month and flipping all the singles, doesn't that mean that there's just a metric boatload of people out there playing the game?
Well, or collecting it, which either one's fair.
Well,
there's an incredible
matter.
demand for singles and for the game.
Sure, because Pokemon, nobody plays the game, but there's a demand for collecting it, right? The same thing.
We have 20 people.
Don't you
we have
dare.
20 people at our Pokemon event every week. People play Pokemon.
You dare.
The demand is highly generated by the collectability, but people still play Pokemon.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Say the same thing here. Say the same thing. Same thing for Lorcana then.
I actually think the opposite is probably true for Lorcana. I think a higher percentage of people who buy Lorcana cards will play than Pokemon.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. We're on the same page. So what my point is it doesn't matter if the demand is $1 billion. If the demand is $1 billion and they print to $1 billion and 200,000, I don't know what's 200 million. I should have used the lower number. If the demand is 100 and they printed to 120, that's going to, the whole system falls. And that's the question. Will they? And I don't know the answer to that. But the D100 box tells me that they are caring about that situation. So
But the whole system doesn't fall.
it does. It falls.
Because Pokemon hasn't fallen, and they have done exactly what you said.
Pokemon is as close to falling as something can be right now. You know what's crazy? These boxes
Is that you call Pokemon GOAT?
These boxes that are coming out, they're the classic collection that are outrageously priced. They're $400 MSRP. Stores like my size, I got 2 from each distro. I've heard of stores getting 0 from each distro. I've heard of stores getting 1 from each distro, and like a couple of stores I've heard got like 6. Like the big stores, like your min-max is getting like 6, right?
Yeah.
The boxes are still selling for under MSRP on Thursday before release. I just don't understand how Pokemon went from doing so well to complete cratering non-existent.
What do you mean? Not run by an incredible company like Wizards of the Coast? Clearly, if Chris Cox was the CEO of Pokemon, it would be pumping right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine the Pokemon trainer cocktail parties?
I don't want to hate Pokemon. Please don't let me imagine that.
He'd be out there be like, none of the people at my cocktail parties have even heard of a Gyarados.
Well, I mean, she was part of the cigarettes too, so I mean,
you said that 2 weeks in a row now? Are you just making that up? Are you just like
she was she was on the board of directors or something for like a cigarette company.
What I've learned in the last year is anyone can just be on the board of directors for anything.
Yeah, it means nothing. Kind of like this podcast. All right, everyone, we're done. Enjoy your Lorana releases. Enjoy your sorcery boxes. Enjoy your Exelons. Thank you for watching the podcast, for listening to the podcast. Go buy the Black Lotus dice on my website, gamegrove.gg.
Those are pretty sweet dice. I can't believe how big they are.
Or sorcery playmat. I lost it, but they're massive. They're massive dice. Oh, I'm bad at this. There it is. Massive,
no, you're great, dude. You're great, dude. I believe in you.
Awesome dice.
You got this. Gamergrove.gg.
Reach out to Josh at hometownertcg@gmail.com. I know.
It's not funny when you do it. It's not funny when you do it. You don't do it well.
I want to be funny. If you want a sorcery beta opening, apparently. God, I hate that you beat me to that.
I'm doing a post about it this week.
And not know anything. It's gonna be like my Exelon video today.
That is not true. You know how hard it's gonna be when someone opens a foil shark to send it to them? Oh, that's gonna be tough. I mean, I'm gonna have to do it.
When you scam somebody out of a foil shark, I'm not gonna let anybody hear the end of it.
No, it's gonna have to happen.
I'm gonna start off every podcast with Josh, the scammer of foil sharks.
What's that? Brett's Breaks? What is that? Blake's Breaks?
Yeah.
I'm on my way to be in Blake's Breaks for a $10 shark. Let's go.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching, listening. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. We'll see you again next video. Remember to be kind to the people around you. May the zoo be with you.
And also with you.